Hello everyone, welcome back to the continuation for our learning API, the fundamentals of it, and how we also now can explore what we did in the previous session, similar things through Python. How can we send our API requests and get our responses through our code, both in Python and Java we're going to look at. So a quick look at what we did in the previous session, so it's pretty clear for you all what we're going to do now. We spoke about API, application programming interface in general, and then we spoke briefly about the CRUD operation, where we can create, read, update, or delete any specific record in the database. That is what we do as a regular transaction. Now, when we're talking about HTTP protocol, there are a few things that come into place. There is the URL of the application that becomes important as to where we have to go and make that request, and the type of request that we're making. Is it to get some data that is already there? Is it to create a new record altogether, or to update an existing record, or to delete it? So most common methods, these are the ones that you'll notice. Then you'll have a header or a data or body for JSON that you can send it. What we did is we used request.in, and we used the static data available with it, the URLs that are there, and to play around with some of these requests. And in each case, I have a URL and a response that comes to me along with it. Now I can also post, and sometimes when I'm doing post with unsuccessful information, like in this example of login, I need to always give an email and password, and that is when I get a response of 200 token, okay. If I don't provide one of those fields, we are noticing that the response is 400. Now, this is the playground for all of us, team. This is what we have to keep as our basic fundamentals and keep going deeper onto the same thing. So where did Postman come? The Postman said that, hey, you know what, instead of going manually and putting all of these here, why don't we automate that flow? And all it did is you can write each API request here or create it as a collection. So we went to Postman website, we downloaded the latest version of it, we installed it on our desktop. I believe I already have that, but I showed you what you should be doing it here. So very quickly, just to re-emphasize what we were trying to do earlier, let us say I have a new collection, and this is of 3rd June, and I'll say this is also request playground. And I'm creating this collection now. And very similar to these, I'll just name them so it is easier. There's nothing in 3rd June yet. The first one is we can start to add requests. Now, please note that Postman is a tool that can handle a few more things additionally. Hence, you see a lot of tabs that are there here. Now, what is important is each of these tabs will become the one that is important for us to keep an observation on the data. So, okay, I didn't do this. So we'll do at least 3 here. So let's add a request. I'll say this is get. Let's identify here. I'll say get single user valid. Okay. And then I'll add one more request. Get single user invalid. Just creating them, not adding any details into it. Add request. Let's do a post login successful. Post login success. Let's do the post login unsuccessful. Add request. Post login unsuccessful. or no success. Sounds good? Now, by default, why do they all say get here? I'm sorry, team. I hope you're all with me. I think it's mute. Why is it get team? So we've not given any details in it, and that's the default action that is there. Now, in this case, unless I go in specifically and change what it is, then only can I do those things. So get single user, username, copy link address. Let's put it up here. Let's see. Copy link address, paste it, and send this request. And we get 200 OK. So that's set. I believe last time we had this issue of save. So let's do the save for sure. What was invalid? Invalid was similar thing, but a different URL. Okay, so someone who's not in that list. And once we send this, we will get a response saying not found. And let's save this as well. There's no action or enablement of buttons, colors or something after. So while there are a few buttons with say colors, the others don't have. So it confuses, looks like save is not even relevant. Here we're doing a post. So I plan my test as to what I want to do correctly first. Then I'm doing a post. So post, login, right? So where is it? Login successful. So we are looking at this. And this is going to be our copy link address. And we're going to paste this. And let's send it. And did we get a 200 OK team like we got here? No. Why? Because there's no body in it. We have to send input data for that request. And that goes in under your body. You can select the format to be a raw format. And then we're saying, let's put JSON into it. And here is my JSON content that I got. Now, same request, send again. I've got it going. So that's good, 200 OK, so that's nice. Can I duplicate this? I can. So I will duplicate this and just make this as not success copy, unsuccessful, I'll say. So that I don't have to recreate everything. Okay, so what's there in body for this? And the only thing we're doing is either delete the email or password and try and send the login. So for logging in, there will be a form in the login page where you enter your username and password. So that gets collected into those fields and sent as a request that, hey, can you server log me? And if it not gets the right request, it's a bad request. The request is bad. And each of these basically give us an idea of what we're doing testing. So post login, this I'll delete this. So we have 4 now. Let's make sure that we have saved all of them. There was a small issue yesterday in running the collection. Saved. I'm just kind of recapping it quickly, team, so it's fresh for us. Mostly today and or tomorrow we'll go deep dive into JSON format and how we can create JSON data and understand it and break it down. Today we'll focus on the basics of it. Okay, done. So now what I'm doing, I have 3rd June. There are, where is it at the top, 4 requests overall, and I'm looking at running the entire collection. I'm saying let's run this. And this gives me options, team. So there are plenty of options that you will notice that are here. So let us say you work in an organization and that has a few applications, let's say 5 web URLs, and each URL has, let us say, 30 different pages and so on. So you can actually go in and ping each of those pages, see if they're responding fine or not as a quick collection here, and see that, oh, you know what, every page is working fine. There is no errors that we are seeing, 500 internal server or 404 not found, and so on. Okay, so what did we do now? We have these, and we basically have the options team. So the collection of folders that I think we've already chosen it, and that is why it's given us these. We have selected all by default. It's the local environment we're doing it, teams. There's nothing that is sitting here. There's no delay. We're not adding anything else out here because we want to be able to do this in our own coding zone. So is this what we expected? And this is what we received. And let's do one thing. Retry. So each time it's pinging team and it's going to get us the latest results and run summary. There's plenty of details that you can look at. But for us, what's important is what we executed. And you could also iterate this team. Let's say I put it through 5 iterations. And let's try and repeat this. So do you notice what's happening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each time it is iterating through it and getting us the status of it. And that gives us a better visibility. I'm not sure if the free version have an export and all these features. Let's see. It does. Just run. Okay. Just run results. So I think I should be able to then see those results also later point in time. That's good. So we've got the clarity what we did on these at Postman team. Any questions on this so far? So today team, what's important to move forward would be number 1, install Python 3.x, the latest version. Then I want you to install PyCharm as a IDE or use your pen. Now, once you have these, primarily you're looking at some details like this. My PyCode, I've created this, but you have some external libraries in your Python folder. I've created a new project there. So you can always create a new project under PyCharm. And what is important is we will always have a virtual environment set up for it. So it will create a new one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this as training. I think we wrote SDET-2, but I don't think we have. I'll create a new folder here, call this as API, and say OK. All right, so that would be my new project. So I'll just call this as PyAPI. Okay. So it's going to create subfolder, it's going to create the environment on it, and we'll be able to play with it. So I can keep it in this window or onto a new window team. I think I'll take it onto a new window. Well, that's getting created. It shouldn't take too long at all. Let me show you what we did in the previous Python tutorial. In this audience, is it okay if I run a very, very quick poll team? It would not take too long for me. Ting, 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 manage polls. Someone waiting. Engage your attendees. I'm just doing this survey thing here. It's a poll actually. Is it tough to learn now? What do I want to ask? How good are you in Python programming fundamentals? So I'll say expert, mid, beginner, no Python skill, no coding skill at all. And that's fine, team. So I want you to be able to choose one of these. It'll tell me where we are as an audience and how we can work with each other onto this. So we've got a good sized audience, team, almost 50 people into it. So if you can let us know where you are with your Python experience. 5 options. If you've not worked on any coding, take the last one, no coding skill at all. If you've done Java or let us say VB script a little bit, but not Python, 4th one. Or expert, mid, beginner in Python. And if you're hesitating to do between expert or mid, go for expert. It's just a poll where your self-morale will improve, team. All right. I'm going to close this poll, everyone. It's just got about 48% votes in. Some of you are not able to put that in. Not able to select. Sorry about that. I don't know. Some of the participants never able to. Team, I've only got 50% votes. Can I get everyone to submit it? I'm going to close this poll in a few seconds now. All right, I'm closing the poll now, team, so that we can get back to what we were doing. Manage polls. No, close polls. Are you done, everyone? You want to be participating? I'm going to close and share the results. Not everyone participated. Some of you couldn't click, but here is the statistics. Can you all see it on your screen? Primarily 0% is in expert level, and that is fine, team. Maybe, yeah, I'm sorry for those who could not participate in the poll. Not sure. You basically should be having to click on those things. I'll have to check with GoToWebinar why that seems to be affecting a few of us. But looking at the polls, we're looking at people, no one in the expert, but a good number in the mid and beginner level. 1735, that's almost half the audience team. So that's great. Remaining audience have no Python or no coding skills. So we are equally distributed. And then we could. Oh, see, I heard from Samkunat now that we need to zoom out the screen to be able to click. Maybe you've zoomed into the screen, team. That's what I got as an answer to your click issue on the poll. Minimize the screen also, then you can select the option and minimize the screen also. I see. Thank you, Jasveer. Thank you, Samkunat. Okay. So I'm going to hide this. There's a question. What time did this start? It started at 8:30, about 20 minutes back. We basically did run through of what we were doing yesterday, and now let us continue with this. So we've done this, team, and expecting audience to be at a beginner / mid beginner level. See, almost 30, except for the 17% of the audience, everyone else is at a beginner or no start level. So please make sure that you watch the Python videos in the playlist. Now, the reason I say this is important, team, is it is not the way I constructed them are not about, what are concepts each and, introduce them. We went through some practical things. We put each program, which you can refer to later point, even for a simple syntax as to how things work. What are the syntax for each and everything. And we went very, very deep to get it to a certain state. So about this 30 odd programs, including the other class files into it and so on, builds up a great library for you team. So that will be a good practice for you overall. Where can you find it? If you go to itelearn.com, I'll kind of give you that link. I'll put it up here, team. The recent ones are there. And even for the same for these. Now, having done this, I've created a new folder in our Explorer, Windows Explorer, System Explorer also. And I've created a new project in PyCharm. And we've set up this virtual environment. And there, this pip and all these things come with it pre-included. So what I'm going to do is, should I put it in this thing? I'll just create another folder here, team. And I'll say file API codes. Is codes the correct name? Is plural for multiple codes? Actually, code with a hyphen. So I don't know if I can use a hyphen S in this. I'll just say a file code. Now, everything will become a new Python file. So let's write a very, very simple Python program to get started. Right? Create new Python file. There you go. The clicks are sometimes very sensitive on PyCharm team. So 01 API underscore, I'll just say 01 API for now team. So nothing much, I'll just say print, say hello to world of API. And let's have a beginning and let's have an end to it. Anything that we want to do, we'll kind of explore in between. This is start API execution, or rather start running API. You have to bear with me, team. I'm going to go very slow in this. It will take for us a little bit focus and practice at your end. And running API. So this is my basic fundamental code. So let's see this is working. I'm going to right click on it and say run this code. So if everything works good, I will see that process finished with exit code 0. That's all it will get. Now team, a lot of tutorials come with where you can run them directly on your terminal and all that. Python console specifically, we're not doing that. We're writing individual programs for it. Now, what is it that we need? Let us say I want to, why should I ping a website? It can be as simple as google.com team for us. So how do I do this first task of pinging google.com? All I need to do is set my URL, that's important. And I'll say this is equal to https://google.com. All right. I write too much programs between both Python and Java. Sometimes I may try to, as a habit, put a semicolon. Please correct me. So now I want to print. So what I want to do, ping this website. So to ping this website, I need something called as a request made. And every request will give us, a response to it. So by default, you'll not have request enabled. So install Python request to start working with API. So how do you do this? First, you need to make sure you have pip. So you can search for install pip. If it's not there, If you have it, that's great. Then all you have to do is pip install. What is this? This is doing request. That's the command. Now this command is basically saying I'm adding an external package for this, which has a whole collection of what to do when having to do a HTTP call to get something from a website, or to put or push into it, and so on. So we go to our terminal in the bottom part of your PyCharm team, and out here all I do actually, so team, so far so good. There's nothing big in this. It's a simple variable. It is having a value into it, and I wish I could have gone through showing you some of the basic fundamental code, but it will be great for you to repeat that and come back to it. But despite that fact, you can look at this as independent as it can. So only thing that this is API and how we are trying to do that using Python. So oopsie. So I'm going to do pip install request. Now please observe what happens when I do this. If it is already present, there is nothing that it will download. But otherwise, it is going to fetch all the related libraries that are needed and get them ready for your use. So now, when I say something like my response equals request dot, there will be nothing here, team, until I do import request here. So now that package basically is added for our virtual environment team, and we are now able to work with the additional set. You get this concept, right, everyone? What is a package and how do we use it? So this is Python. To run the basic code of Python, it gives you inbuilt whatever you need. The inbuilt is there in your virtual environment. Okay. So it gives you all that you need to start running simple things. As and when you need to work with external things like, let us say, Excel or APIs or databases or Selenium WebDriver, you need to import those features or those packages that have been built in Python to handle them and use it. The same concept works in Java, and in there we remove Python and we put a Java out there. That's the difference. Of course, there's nothing like a virtual environment there we're doing. Getting back to the code. So I've imported request. Now I'm saying my response, another variable. Now just for that, it is easy. I'll say my URL and my response. It's not a result team. It's not RES. It's not for result. It's for response. Now we're saying request. See, I already have request dot. I see those get post commands that we typically do, team, the put, and yeah, so those are the main ones that we need. So we are doing the get command. So look at what it was saying for get as an input parameter. I can send the URL, that's the first, and the parameter, that's the second one. Parameters is nothing but things like the username, password that we're seeing. That, but we can ignore if we don't have anything. So I just have URL, so I'll say my URL. Now what happens is it has gone ahead and got that request for us, hopefully. So we can print and see what it is giving in a totality. Let's run this again. Do you see that? It says response 200, and that's all I got. Now, there is something good about it that you can do little additional to this team. What kind of a details that I want to choose? Sometimes I want to know my status code. If it is in the 100 series, if it is in the 200 series, 300 series, 400, 500, And depending on each status code, I might write a logic of what to do. So I want the status code also to come. And sometimes you also get cookies. You get this header data that comes out for any of what we do. So let's say we go here. So I can, let's say this is total response, comma, minus status code. And what else do I want to do? I'm taking it very slow, team. Don't write anything. You can observe, take notes if you want on the side, and repeat this session a couple of times. Second time you do it, you can start practicing, pause and replay that time. So let's run this. I've got a little bit more details into it. Header. So there you go. So it says total response. This is what I got. Basically, when I said give me the response as is, but when I dig into status code, I get that number. The header gave me a large data, and this is what we get in a JSON format. All right. And this is all there is coming back from Google. And is that relevant? Sure. For a lot of developers, it becomes relevant that each and everything has to be intact. They're programmed in such a way that they want specific data to be there everywhere into it. And this is just one URL right now. So let's do that also. Okay. Okay, so there we go. And just so that this is easy visually for us, I'll put this because I may have a few more. Okay, done. Now this is done on google.com team. What if I want to do the same thing on what we were doing on regress.in? So I'm going to take this and let's try on. What was the first one that we saw here? Get single user valid, correct? So get single valid user, and this is from regress.in. Okay, so where is my URL team? I have that URL. I can copy it from here. I don't mind copying it from regress.in also, but it's okay because everything is in Postman we've added. So we'll take it from here and put it up in my file. See team, how I'm trying to structure my code. The structure becomes very critical, everyone, because especially when you want to debug. A lot of times I see that we face issues because our code is not clean enough and we don't know where is what. So please make sure you write code that is legible and easily we can read, and we'll do a little bit on that. So what are we doing? Let's move a little faster now. Get a single valid user. I change the URL. It's the same. Get that, get this, and so on. One second. I'm sorry. Okay. And let me try and run this again. You see there's a delay. Why do you think there's a delay happening, team, sometimes? Because it takes certain amount of time to ping these websites and get a response from them. It is almost like visiting them and opening them, but it is not really opening it up. We're not opening up the website from our end on the browser, but we are looking at what response is it able to interact back with it. If this is not happening, you cannot see anything visually. So the same thing, so this code will get longer for us, right? So why not we create a simple function and it just pass the URL and it does everything, right? So let's define a very simple function T. Here are the basic functions that we have, and in this I'm just printing, but I'm sending a value into it, nothing to return. So as simple as get this. Let's create it. It will be easy for us. So I'll create a function. Let's leave this one. 01 API is good. Now let's do one more code. Where is my code? Here in this folder, right click again, say new Python file 02 API. That way you can keep looking at how we progress. So there, get response details. And into this, only thing that I'm sending is the variable URL, right? That's all I want to be able to send to you. Now, what we're doing is here, this, these are the steps. Now, make sure you have a tab to it. There are no braces in Python. The only way to recognize this is by saying that you have an indentation. So this will be incorrect. It will take it as a defect. So when I have them indented, they all belong to that. So I'm printing all this here. My URL will come to me. So this I can comment. So it will not get executed. This is the input. And once I get the input, I can do anything I would want from that. I'm sorry. Okay. Then back to API code. Now what is it that I want to? I want to ping Google. Then I want to ping this request.html. So let's copy this and put it here. And I'll say Control C, Control V, delete this. That's fine. And I don't need all of this as well. I'll replace all of this commands with one function call. What is the name of the function? Get response details. So I'll say get response details and my URL. And this is the only function I'll keep calling after I change that URL. So let us see if this works as is. First, let us read through this code, everyone. I have to change my res to vres. Let me see. What is that? Where is my res? You're right. Because I've changed it here. So you're absolutely right. So see, it has to be VRES. Total response status code for the response header. Correct? And this is the only entry. You're right. Thank you. And see, if I hadn't figured that out, we would have got confused. And maybe we would have not caught that defect right now with our existing scenarios. Only as we keep going further and further, we could have maybe caught it. So let's make this even easier. Let's take this off and put them. The reason I'm putting these separators in, it makes it visually easy for us to see what's happening. Hello, start. So this is Google, and this is another one. It's looking a little bit more neater and simpler, correct? Let's run this and see what we get. And make sure you're running the same program. See, it looks to be running 01.apy. You see this 01 API.py. So team, by default, all the Python programs, the extension is .py. That is what we give. Okay. Now, you want to run the specific one, 02.api.py. So right click on it, say run this. It should give me the exact result, team. I'm not expecting anything different. But at least my code is a little bit more easier to look at. Now let's do the other one in a quick possible way. Ding. What am I doing? Get, what was that? Next one, invalid. So the only thing changed here is our input. You see this team, how we are pinging everything now from Python instead of going through Postman or manually checking it any other way. And now let's run this. That's exactly what we expected, that it will work for the first and it would fail for the second. Any questions on this so far, please? So we know that this is repeating, right? So just to take the perspective, this is one user, and I know there is user 3, there is user 4, there is user 5, there is user 50 also. No, there is no user 50. So how do I know? If I do basically the binary sort, is user 25 there? No. Then user 15 is there? No. So then user 10 is there? Yes. So user 12? Yes. Then 13? No. So only till 12. See, manually I could do this. How could I do something similar in JSON, sorry, in Python? So what I'm trying to do, so this is neat. I'll delete this. 03 API. Python file. So look at it. I have a base URL. My base URL is basically whatever I'm getting here. Okay. And I know that there's this certain section that is always changing. Correct? Now, if I say for you in I don't know how many URLs are there. So going through first, I'll say in range 0 to 30. Let's say to 30 first. I don't know manually how many are there. So all I want to do here is okay. Let me copy this function, get response details. Are you all with me, team? I've taken the response details, reusable function. I have a base URL. Now, each time I want to call get response detail and pass this B URL plus or comma the U, whatever, or I can say I. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Let me do one thing. Let me just print them first. Then I'll know. Then we will execute these. Now, these certain small details will give you a lot of clarity. I'll tell you why. Again, team, I'm expecting a little bit of programming from your end to be able to go through this, but the concept is simple. Here is a for loop. It's just like saying for I in range starting from 0 to 30, and it's by default incrementing as 1 each time. That's the step. Okay, I don't need to mention. Now, what am I doing here? I'm just printing BURL comma I. Comma is a concatenation. Let me see if it prints all the URLs the way we want it. So 03 API run. There is no API call in here. You see that, team? There is a space that is getting added. And that's because of this. So what I need to do is use a plus for it. And let's try this one. Not into string. So I have to string box. Okay. Now does it look good, everyone? So slowly I could at least print. My intent was not to go get the responses here. For each one now I will try and get the response team. But at least to print what happened. So see, we went from 0, I being, each time it is printing. And I can add something like URL is colon, comma, this, whatever is coming in. So that becomes my entire URL. So if I click on it, it will tell me if it is there, yes or no, correction 2. Code clear so far? Now what I will do, I will enable this one step line 15. Just see how much different the whole program is going to be, because each time of this 13 number, it is going to go and do the thing. Okay, so let's try and execute it. Did I execute? I think I did. There you go. Name U is not defined. URL is so and so. Let's see. It says line 15. There we go. I think that was our syntax error. So there you're right. Some of you got that. I just used U for URL initially, but now I is just a counter number. So we don't need this U anymore. It should have been I, and that is the reason it threw an error. There is no other variable called U. And unlike Java, there's no declaration of a variable team before we use it. Line 15, again, in module, base URL. Oh, can someone tell me the issue, please? This should be something that you should be able to figure. There's another issue that came up. Could you look at the code maybe and find out? Earlier it was failing on line 15 because U was here. Now it is failing though I changed it to I. Why? Should it be string of I or Pinky, you're right. Kuma, you're right. No, Kiran. Error has come. If I show the error, you'll also know the solution. That's why I minimize the error. Get response details is failing team. We're not able to call that method. And that was happening because this function takes one parameter and we're trying to pass two. I already don't have a base URL. So now what I will do, I'll create a my URL equals BURL plus string of I. So that is okay. And you can pass my URL. And in fact, this print also, let's do after that. I'm being very cautious, team, because it is not that defects won't happen. And believe me, when I was writing this code, I did not anticipate that these two errors would come up. One, that U was not defined, the second about I. Now, I'm redoing this. See, first I'm going to combine them, this with the number, and put it into here. Second, I will print that as book here and say this is comma my URL. And then if this is looking good, then I will run. URL so and so looks good. Now I can undo this and re-execute. Come on. Request.get is not defined. Now do you know, team, why? What is the issue? See, isn't it nice when you get the small issues at least? Because quickly, because of what we learned earlier, we are able to find a solution and it gets stayed with you. Stay put. We did not import our request. Let's do that. Import request. Then I can go with the flow. Even the exit gave me the same details. Safe name error, name request is not defined. When it said request is not defined, I knew, oh man, what happened? Let's do this again. Now, do you see for each one it is going and it is telling me if it is 404 or 200. So, see, look at the programming things you could do. I could do things like I'm letting that run, team. Each one will take a few microseconds. So overall we have 40. But process finished with exit code 0, that means no errors. Now look at it. It started way at the beginning. It took the first user 0. That does not seem to be existing theme. So that's our error. Not found. Then we've got the OK 200 all the way through till where? Let's see, 11, 12, 13 onwards it's failing. So I don't want to print all the details if it fails. So I want to only print it for the past one. Let us assume I want to do that. How do I know which is passed, which is failed, at least from a status code? I have it here, correct? So all I will say if code then what I will do is I will do all of this. Else I will print failed, please check. So I'm trying to make things a little bit more interactive for me, and I can run multiple of these API streams non-stop. So get response details, irrespective of what the status code was, doing everything fine. But here what I'm trying to do is I'm checking specifically for what that status code is. And based on that, we want to take certain action. Okay. Oh, my phone is ringing non-stop. Sorry, where am I? So let's minimize this. Let's focus on get 200 only. We get the response. If the response status code is equal to 200, then let's see. All status code is 404 here. Failed. Please check the base URL. The for loop. This is the main code. This error, it will tell us. Why is doing the same thing? Can someone tell me? I didn't change that. That's correct. Let's stop this execution. So get instead of my URL, I will get 200 only. There. And let's comment the earlier one, line 29. Dog failed. Please check. So that's good. It's taking a while. It's failing for everything. URL is going correct. The only thing is the check that we are doing here, team. We can do assertion also. Let me make sure that the value is coming correctly. What if it is coming as an integer? Status code. I think it will come as a number. Let's stop this and redo this. See that if statement comparison itself is taking, I think, a little time. First one should not. Second one, it should. That's what we're expecting. There we go. Third one, it'll do. Fourth one, it'll do. And it will only print details for the ones it is found with status code 200. Makes sense, everyone? So far, so good. Any questions, please, on these? Let's also try a few posts and make that work. So remaining things are failing. So we could also do as to while this is valid. So we don't know which are valid or not. So we have to run through anyway. Correct? So it will take that effort to do this. So these are all get what we are doing, team. Let's do something similar for post. And it's almost be a revision for us now. Come on. 04 API underscore post. Okay, so primarily we want to post to a specific one. So to post somewhere, definitely I require the same details team like we have in get. Okay. Requires there. We can post it. The function post details. Now, when we are posting team, you need two sets of information: the URL and also you'll notice here, even in fact get you can send post. Don't write import request, then it'll be fine. The URL, data or JSON, and any other argument. So definitely the URL and the data. The data becomes important as to what we are posting in this case, if it is available. Okay, so the applications that we were looking at here, we were doing post login successful. So this is my data. So the way we structure data team in W3, which one did I want to talk about? W3 schools or Jason? Let me put that data first. I took the data as is team and I put it into something called as D1. Now, schools.com, Python. I just want to show you a couple of things so it's easy for you to understand. So typically you can use in Python, you have a lot of types of variables in which you can store data, and it can be integer, string, double, float, boolean, and so on. Depending on what you put onto it, the type comes out. Okay, so you can also look at storing data as lists. That is nothing but like an array system that we have in Python. So list is collection, basically specific order, who is in first place, second place, and you can change it. You can have duplicate members. Tuple you cannot change. So, and then set, it is basically unordered and unindexed. Dictionary is the one that we are interested in. Python dictionary basically helps us to change, store a little bit more detailed content. See, like this. This dictionary says brand is Ford, model is Mustang, year is 1964. It becomes something we call as a key value pair constant. So there is a key and there is a value to it. There's a key and a value. So that key and the value become important in that case. This is the name of the dictionary and these are the values that have come. In our program, we're doing something similar. D1, this is the name of it, and then these are the values that are going. We're just putting it exactly the way we got it and pasted it from request.it. So this is our input. This is our input. Copy link address. Now, what's my URL? Now, what are we doing? Request.put. So post, post. What is it that we're doing? Let's print if we don't need the URL and all that right now. That's what we keep it total response. Okay. Then status code will get header, and let's give also JSON here. Let's see what is the JSON that comes back in case there is anything. So this is a post request team, and actually this JSON I should have kept it there. We'll see in the get method. So D1 and my URL. All I need to do is call post details and pass the URL or my comma D1. And let's try and execute this code now. So it is executed, team. Response was okay. Status code is okay. And we've got the header, and this is what we've got. Now, what is the response that we got as JSON format? That is the token, correct? Let us say this header is too big. At the moment, I don't want this header detail. And I would rather take the JSON data and rerun. Did you see that? JSON data is token. Now, how about if I rerun this? My URL is constant, team. I'll keep it on the top. Now, let me do D1 is this. Looks good. D2 is, let us say, password is missing. And we run this now. Let's change this to D2, make sure. So these are now post activities, team. And it says error missing password. Did you notice that, team? And we could very well program it in, saying that, hey, if it has missed password, what is it that we want to do? If it has missed this data, what is it that we want to do? So now we are able to program it automatically into what? At least get the status. So how do we read this data better? And also let us try and do something similar in Java, team. We can use HTTP URL connection there, or even rest assured to be able to perform something similar. But the concept is very simple. When we are sending requests, be it get, post, delete, whatever, we will get a response back. And the response will contain various details. It could be a bad response. It could be no JSON files, and that's fine. So here, for example, for each one, let's try one more thing. It will be easy to understand. The single user, if I go in, this is the data I'm expecting, correct, for each of the users. So all I need to do here is the 03 API, like I did here. I'll just include that. JSON data is vresult.json, whatever we get in. So when we are executing it for this, get response detail 200 only. Make sure the indentation is correct. A lot of prints that we're doing. Prints don't take time. Just sending the request, getting the response to it, and being able to talk to it accordingly. So now 0 to 30, let's do it 0 to 20. We know that not too many. At least it should give me the constant JSON details for each of them. 03 API, run it again. So the first one failed, please check. Then total response, we've got this header JSON data. So each user, as we are able to capture, we are getting that information. Okay. So makes sense, everyone? How we are able to interact with these API commands, both the understanding of the basic things, how it happens within the application, or we can use tools like Postman to do it, to send a request to get details, or we can program it into Python or even Java. And pretty much you can do a lot of wonders with this team in terms of exploration. So if you have an application that's got a lot of API being called into it, you can write an amazing flow that, this is what I want you to do. Go, call this API, call that API, get this data from there, push this data into that API, get that data. So it can be a whole farm of services that are going across. So now let's say I change this to D3, and if I misspell this, what will happen? I'm just thinking. And URL is the same, and I said D3, and this is API post 04. That's about what I'll have for today, team. Please let me know if you have any further questions. So yes, see the error that I got is missing email or username. So basically, it's what the application is giving. The error detail is coming from the app, and each application would give something similar. I'll try and see if I can find a few more good examples to play around this concept for tomorrow. I want to also explore the similar things that what we have done here in Java. So you get a basic idea too, and also JSON about it. Any further questions, team? And team, just want to make sure, because we may have to use a new GoToWebinar for members only. So I'm not sure if that will be viable or how many are already members in this webinar. So I can delete the others. Let me see if I have. Team, can you help me fill this quick form on your side, and also try and do those options to participate in the poll that was suggested by the team. Unzoom it, and something else was there. What were the other recommendations you mentioned, team, to perform? For participating in the poll on the website. I've got about 52% vote, team. I don't want to take too much time on this. If you can give me a yes, no answer, that would be great. Yes, the other option is to maximize the screen. And then I believe you are able to work on it. Is that JSON function retrieves the response? Response will come through when we send the request itself. And within that request, it already has all this detail. So we can fetch that data for that. I'm closing this poll, team. Great. And that's about what I have right now. Don't API, 02 API. So these codes are coming in. And I'll see you back tomorrow, everyone. I hope, was the session okay, team? Did it scare you too much? Was it logical on how we are doing simple interactions? Is the concept getting very clear for you all? All right, great. So looking at these two videos, will you be able to do a little practice at your end? Great. And show us tomorrow, or show me tomorrow what you're doing. So if they're stuck on any technical issues, we can look into it. Similar to recres.in, are there any other application? Yes, there are a few. I'm not sure how many are there. There's one Postman, team. Let me see if I just see there's a Postman application itself. Postman Echo. Service you can use to test your REST client and make sample API calls. It provides endpoints. It has endpoint URLs. Let's see this. Get put post. Okay, there we go. So see, there's a get request here. They've given us a URL and what we are expecting, and there is a post without any input into it, I believe, or raw text descending. And there's a post, there's data that's going in this case, like this. And there's a put request, patch request, delete request. Try this thing. And I think we've done a lot in here, but I did not write even a single line of code. So all this work done through implement come on, get, and we did post, I guess, correct? Today? Post only, yes. Post through Python request and create reusable Py method for both get and post. Validate status code return, and we've not validated anything as JSON return yet, team, but whatever we're printing, we can now store that. We can do a lot of things with it. vResult.json. Yeah, that's what we did. Great. I'll see you back tomorrow, everyone, then, and we'll continue on this. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye now.